He's a busy man. I think he's had a few conversations throughout the day, or so it seems. We'll see how this one goes. But I'm excited because I think he enjoys bourbon. While he may be on the coast, I think he enjoys coming to the bluegrass state where I'm based out of. So I think we have plenty to talk about. I'm Jonathan Green, host of Bar Conversations. Don't forget to follow us at Hop Spirits, all one word, on all social media. And check out hopspirits.com so you don't ever miss an episode. But we got a cool guest. He's part of the trio Gale Bird. Their latest singles, Lookie Here, I Still Do, and Roses, just released, are all out now. Let's welcome in Sean Monahan.
Hey, Jonathan. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, I know you've been staying busy these days, so I'm guessing it's good to share a drink and calm down at the end of the night, right?
Absolutely, this is perfect. I was looking forward to this all day.
Well, this is Bar Conversations. I was trying to think of what to go for. I don't have any South Carolina bourbon. I know there's some good ones out there. I just don't have any. But like I said, I know you have your latest single, Roses. So I got a little Larrikin Rosewater.
Very nice.
So, what are you drinking tonight? What's your go-to drink these days?
So I right now I'm drinking Green River Full Proof, and I had a interesting learning experience with them. I didn't know anything about how bourbon was made, how it's filtered, and all that. And so I usually will just leave the glass out at night if I don't finish it the next day for lunch or something. Well, I wake up the next morning, I had a little bit left, and it just completely separated. And I'd never seen that before. It was hazy. It was the caramel was on the bottom, the oil was on the top. And so I ended up calling Green River and just, like, not to complain, but just like out of curiosity, what happened? They called me back, probably thinking I wanted a refund or something. But they called me back, and they explained the non-chill filter, how they don't do the chill filtering and how that keeps the fatty acids, and I learned a ton, and so now I feel like I owe it to them, at least on this public stage, to give a shout out to Green River for calling me back. And I
love
do
that.
like their bourbon. Yeah.
No, they've got some good bourbon. We had them on. I want to say about this time last year, we talked to them on the other podcast that I get to do, where we just drink bourbon only and talk about things, and it's amazing what they can do, and it's at a great price. I mean, you can have a couple bottles, and no, not this day and age.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a couple local ones. I know Virgil Cane is one. I've tried their ginger run, and it's decent. I think it's pretty nuanced, and I wouldn't want to drink that all the time with that ginger kick at the end. But it's a cool experience. And I know there's a few others, but it's hard to, I love shopping local, but when there's so many options that I still haven't tried yet, it's hard to pass up a Kentucky bourbon when, they're out there still.
I totally understand that. Now, do you get to come to Kentucky? Have you done the Bourbon Trail? Have you got to experience that yet? Is that on the bucket list?
I'm so close. So I come up to Lexington about once a year. I've got some good friends that live up there, and we'll usually make a trip. And first time up, it was just business. I was doing some music up there. And then next time I was able to bring my family, and so we spent a little extended time up there. And always meant to hit the trail, but unfortunately, so they're down in like Corbin, Richmond area, and so to get over to like some of the like the Buffalo Trace and that area over there, it's still, I don't know, an hour and a half it felt like, and then to get into Lexington was still 40. I don't know, it just didn't work out yet. So next time, that's totally on the bucket list. Yes.
I like it. I was going to say, if you can only just get to Lexington, there's several here. They also got the lovely distillery district where you've got about 2 or 3, couple breweries, couple restaurants, all right in one spot. You park and walk. So if you're trying to hit all of them.
Yeah, if I could try one, what's the one I go to?
Oh, in Lexington? Oh, that's tough. I mean, you've got multiple options. I'd say if you want true Lexington, you can go to Town Branch and Lexington Brewing, where you can get beer and bourbon. Okay. But I mean, there's so many. I don't want to shy away from any of the folks, but you got a lot of good ones. RD1's got a beautiful new facility as well, so there's plenty of options. Now, do you have a collection? I mean, are you one of the guys that goes deep into the collection, or just a couple bottles that you can go to?
I'm a musician, so I don't have a ton of extra disposable income, but I'm very fortunate to have some great friends that have kind of gotten me into this, and so through drinking with some of my friends, I've tried some nicer bourbons. I mostly just keep myself stocked with. I think I've got a couple Buffalo Trace, one of the Larceny, their small batch, I think, and then I as long as it's pretty decent, I'll drink it.
I like it. Hey, that's not a bad bar cart. And if you guys haven't yet, maybe you just need to have a rider that has a local bourbon or a good one.
I would be down. Oh, I need to tell you. So I'm drinking the Green River. We're missing my two friends in the trio. So Joshua and Melissa Gale. They're a part of Gale Bird. Joshua is the lead singer. Melissa is his wife, also a singer. I'm one of the singers. I'm also the producer. I do a lot of the music directing for the group. Joshua, his drink of choice these days is the Topo Chico Blueberry Hibiscus.
Oh.
And Melissa is Southern as it gets, sweet tea.
Hey,
So I
nothing
got to
wrong
give
with
them a
that.
little shout out for that too. Yeah.
Hey, I like it. I like it. I love it. I love that they wanted to be a part of it. I know they got a lot going on, not all feeling well, so I hope they feel better
Thank you.
there. Now, in addition to a good bourbon, I noticed on Instagram that you also, I think, like some soccer scarves, some discs, cheap cigars. So you stay busy. It sounds like with your
do.
activities.
I'm so glad you asked me that. No one's ever, I don't think, read my Instagram description, and it so much sums up me. I've always been obsessive. I collect everything. So it was, my mom was that way too. She still has napkins from like World War II day Coca-Cola, like actual cool things.
That's awesome.
And so I just, for whatever reason, started collecting soccer scarves. I felt like it was a cool thing that was unique. If I'm going to go travel somewhere, I'm going to look for the local team and get a scarf. And so I use them. I hang them all up around my office as like to aid the baffling for the studio. So I don't know. It's cool. I grew up. There was a soccer club here, and the owner at the time had this world-class soccer scarf collection. So vintage scarves from all over the world, and I don't know. It felt right. So that's the soccer scarves. I love disc golf and have been playing for years. One of my favorite hobbies. And then by cheap cigars, it's not that the cigars are cheap, but I find them at a good price. So I look for highly rated cigars in bulk on discount.
Hey, you're thrifty. You're smart. I like
I have
it.
to be. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hopefully next time you're in Lexington, if you haven't added to your scarf collection, you can get the Lexington SC. We got a soccer team
Yes.
now, so you'll have to get that. They got the lovely blue and or not blue, black and green. I think they wanted to shy away from any colors that could potentially be UK or Louisville or any of the other teams in Kentucky that
understandable.
people might root for. So, but no, I love that. I mean, now, you've got those activities. Like you said, you do this weird day job called music. Mm-hmm. Did you love music at a young age? When did music kind of become a thing for you?
For me, it was kind of odd. It was never, it just was introduced. My mom, when she was watching us as kids, kind of just started us on the piano. She'd played for just enough to teach us for about a year. And my dad had played some guitar at a church group for a little while when we were like 2. So they had the littlest bit of musical experience, enough to know that it was valuable. They got us started. And I think between just the way I analyze and can focus, just the way I'm wired, I naturally kind of picked up quickly. And so it was never something that I really had a lot of difficulty sitting down and practicing. I don't have PTSD with the egg timer like my brother and sister do sometimes. But I just enjoyed it. And so I started on piano. I did some classical competitions growing up. And then I found the guitar. And it just changed my life. I played for a long time growing up in church, and I played for a guy that's now the guitar player for one of the biggest Christian artists right now. His name is Brandon Lake. So his guitar player and I grew up together, and so I was always looking up to this dude, and I'm like, dude, he's doing stuff on guitar I can't do on piano. I got to try this out. So I started around 13 playing guitar, and then started recording and writing at the house just for fun. It's cool to look back because it's just something that I did. No one was telling me or pushing me to do it. I wasn't on social media, so it wasn't like I felt some sort of weird pressure. I was having fun. And then I went to college and I studied music, and I did jazz guitar. I did theory and composition, orchestration, and kind of got into a lot of different worlds. And then from there, once I got out of college, just decided like I want to go for this and see how we can make this work. And it's probably going to look different than everybody else because I'm not the greatest guitarist in and of itself. Like I'm a decent player, but as my only thing, that's not going to work. It's not going to cut it. Also, I don't like staying out late. I've got a family now, so I'm not going to be playing bar gigs every night. I got to figure out a way to make this work. So now I end up doing a combination of I'm teaching lessons. At times I've done some work for different churches. I'm a part of Gale Bird, and we're doing shows, but then I also have other artists that I'm producing, working with labels. I'm doing mixing and mastering for some artists. And then on the side, me and Josh, the lead singer of Gale Bird, we do some marketing and website design. So we've tried to kind of structure a life where we can be remote. We can do enough to provide for our family well, but still get to do what we love. And man, it's just been incredible getting to do it. And it looks a little different, I think, for us than maybe some of the touring artists out there. We're not able to go on crazy, extravagant tours, nor do we want to. We got young kids. He has 4. Him and Melissa have 4 kids. So a little limited, but we're strategic and we make things work. So, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it doesn't matter. You could do 500 or 300 shows in a year, and if you don't do it right or you don't, you could burn out real quick. It could still not work. You just never know. So you got to make sure you go down your path. And you talk about, doing this music thing, and you kind of said, "Hey, this is what I want to do." Was there ever a chance you weren't going to do music? Because like you said, I see you working with other folks. I see you working. You do the band thing, but you produce, you mix, you do all those things. So was there ever a chance music wasn't going to be it?
If I'm honest, I think it would have worked itself to the top. I think the only thing that would have hindered me from doing music would have been fear. Like going into college, I did all the music stuff, but I also double majored in math because there was this sense from my parents of like, that's great that you love music, but you got to have a job one day, And so I had that. And I remember after college, I was interviewing with a local software company and had gotten through a couple rounds of interviews. And I remember just the moment when I was just like, I don't want to do this though. And so I turned down the next interview, and I remember my mom being like, why would you do that? And they've always been supportive. I love my parents, but I think that they were afraid for me too, and maybe that was one of the advantages of being a silly 21-year-old is I went for what I loved, and man, I don't regret it. Oh my goodness. So there were moments where I definitely have considered other things. And there were seasons when especially in college, like I felt like it was communicated that if you're a true musician, you have to do music full time, and not just music full time, but kind of like the mentality of like, if you're teaching, it's because you weren't good enough at playing, which I think is so corrosive to what music is meant to be. Like, how beautiful is it that you can teach young people how to use an art skill to communicate things? So I think for a while I pushed harder than I should have on, I have to be, first of all, I had to be doing jazz because that's the epitome of music, and then I have to be playing live if I want to be considered a full-time musician. And so a combination of I didn't like jazz, I wasn't great at it, and I didn't like staying out late. I started realizing like this is just it's not going to work. So as I started exploring what this could look like, I feel like I had some opportunities that came up where now it's blossomed into this business that it works, and I don't have to stay out late every night. I get a couple nights I get to play out, and I love it, and then I sleep in the next morning or whatever. And so there have been times when I've doubted it, but I think it would have worked out the whole way. I think it was in me.
Well, but I love that too. You took a chance early on, because I always say if you take that chance early enough, you can take a chance whenever. But sometimes that naive, being naive helps a little bit as you go down that path. Yeah. But I love it too that, like you said, you kind of realize what you wanted to do. And I've had a lot of artists, do the Corey. I can't think of his last name off the top of my head that I just had on. Corey, did that. He's more of a sideman now. With a little bit of his own music.
Yeah.
But he can go play a gig for a tour for a week and then come home and be good with it. And other guys have been part of the band and now they're home doing the producing because they just love that part. And like you said, there's so many different avenues you can go down with music. Now, what music did you grow up on? Like, what were the artists that kind of shaped who you are and maybe even to this day you still enjoy?
Yeah. Well, I grew up playing in the church, so there was a lot of influence from some more of the modern gospel, modern Christian stuff. There was a guitar player named Lincoln Brewster back in the day who was the first like shredder in that scene. And I just remember that giving me, I felt like I had permission. Like I could throw some of these licks into church services, and it doesn't take, put all the eyes on me, but it's musical and it's nice and I like it. It's fun. So I listened to him. My parents loved classic rock, so grew up on Foreigner, grew up on, I love Queen. Queen's one of my favorite bands. And then as I got into orchestration and started having opportunities to listen to some more of the classical works and then modern orchestrators within even the pop genre, I grew to love the way you can take instruments like an orchestra and craft them in a way that amplifies even a pop tune, which very few people would think of an orchestra when they're thinking of pop, but oh my gosh, strings are behind everything. And so I think that all of that, not just in genre and style, but also in mindset, has affected the way that I think about music. So when I'm going to produce an album, it's not just, let's put some sounds together, but every one is a piece of this orchestra that we're putting together, whether it's a guitar or a synthesizer or some sampled drums. Like, we're orchestrating this whole thing. And so I've had a lot of different influences, but then Josh and Melissa grew up, mostly listened to a lot of country, a lot of hard rock, that era. So with Josh starting Gale Bird, his voice naturally leans that way. So it's been interesting to kind of discover our sound because he loves some classic rock too. And so when we are producing, we're naturally bringing in things that aren't specifically country. So Spotify playlist is going to say, oh yeah, you're country because of the sound of his voice. But I mean, some of the orchestration and the vocal arrangements behind what's going on, I mean, I'm grabbing from all sorts of genres that I love, and it's nice. Our label's been great. We got signed last year, and they're very accommodating to helping us figure out what our sound is. And man, that's been a really fun process.
Well, I was going to say, and nowadays, I don't feel like you have to be as boxed as you might have, a long time ago. As country might have an influence over here, or this might have an influence over here, and I love that. And you talk about Josh, who's one of the trio with his wife Melissa. How did you meet Josh? How did all of that come together with you ended up being part of Gale Bird?
Yeah. Oh man. So Josh and Melissa went to a neighboring college that I did. I went downtown Charleston to College of Charleston, and they were up in North Charleston area. And we were in similar circles of friends, and he was always passionate about music. And so we, through the friends, decided, let's see what happens. Let's try something out. Let's get together. Had some other friends that joined us and started up a band. And so this was, 15 years ago. We started playing some shows. We did a little traveling, went up to Florence and Wilmington and played locally. And then we graduated and both got married. He's got 4 kids. I've got 2 kids. Everything went on pause. So nothing happened with Gale Bird for about 13 years. Well, come to 2 years ago, I'm in a situation where I'm working full time and doing some music stuff, but I want to go freelance. I'm ready to try it out completely, be free of that. And so he reaches out to me right as I'm considering this job switch, and he's like, dude, I can't stop thinking about these songs. Like, I think it's time. Like the kids are old enough now. I think we could give this a go. So I'm like, dude, it couldn't be any better timing. Let's go for it. So we start working with this studio, and very soon after the first few are recorded, the label near us, Holy City Music, reaches out, and they're interested. They decide to invest in us, and kind of just starts building from there. And so we've been going now for 2 years straight, playing locally, trying to still, make the life happy at home and not be out too much. But it's been an interesting balance. But yeah, we go way back, and now we have a cool relationship. So me and Josh will go lift weights every morning, and we both he owns a marketing company, and we work together with it. So we'll talk through, like, what do we got to get done today? What do we got to do for Gale Bird? Let's schedule a writing day for this day, and what's coming up. We kind of get our bearings for the day, go tackle it, and then we're back the next morning. And so we have a cool relationship. It's a lot of fun. He's so incredible, has such a gift for sales and for really painting the best picture of something. And I think that comes across in the music. All these songs that we're writing, they tend to come from things that we're working through. So obviously in this stage, a lot of it is like, how do we be better in our marriage? How do we love our wives better? How do we, remember to, we need to say nice things to our wife. How do I remind myself of that more often? And so a lot of these songs are coming from, like, let's write a song to remind ourselves of this. And then it's turned out to be this really cool, encouraging opportunity because, there's a lot of people that are struggling. And so to hear a song like Roses and be reminded, like, I don't know that tomorrow's guaranteed. I don't know when the last time it is that I told my wife that I actually really, really love getting to, live with her and do life with her. Or a friend or a parent. I think about it often with my parents of just, they're not nearing the age where I think they're going to die, but I know of people that have died way younger, and I don't know that I'll get tomorrow with them. I don't want to save all the nice things that I have to say to them until it's too late. So a lot of these things are coming from that, and he's so incredible with words and as a band leader and with the live show. The live show is such a different experience because you're interacting with people. It's not just trying to make something beautiful. It's trying to entertain. It's trying to navigate the ups and downs of the crowd and who's there, and he's so good with that. And he's stretched me in that area. My specialty is more on the production, the direction, the technicality, and so we've just formed a great team. Melissa comes in. She's this incredible singer who just glues all of our harmonies together. So it's been so special working with them, and it's been such an honor getting to know them for now 15 years. It's so fun to think that it's been that long, but yeah.
Well, and I was going to say, like you said, it was you and Josh. I know Melissa came in, kind of rounded out, what the trio is. Now, I got to know, obviously I know his last name is Gale, or their last name is Gale, but Gale Bird, what's behind that? Was that just something that he threw out there and it stuck? How did the trio get its name?
Yeah. So I wish he was here for this, because his telling of this story is going to be so much better than mine. But in short, birds have always been something special to their family. I think I know he's got a few tattoos of birds that all represent his kids, and I think he's told this story before, and I'm going to botch it, but something to the effect of he proposed to Melissa and a flock of birds flew by, and it was like meaningful. It's a great story. I'm not going to tell it all because I'm not going to do it right. But there's a lot of meaning behind the birds. Obviously, their last name is Gale. And so it was just kind of one of those, like, we wanted to name this something that stood out, maybe made someone be like, oh, that's interesting. Little bit of a, earworm just in the name. And so Gale Bird stuck, and yeah, that's where it's been.
Hey, I love it. I love it. You never know how a name will come to be. what it'll mean. But as you talked about, kind of how you guys have formed, how you guys have grown as a group, as a trio. How does that, being so vulnerable on those songs, being able to talk about that stuff. What's it like to share that personal side with folks? Because I'm talking to a lot of artists, at first it's kind of weird because, you could be writing about someone that might hear the song and that may be awkward. Or it could be, you're writing for your significant other, which is also that's a challenge because you don't want to disappoint them on the song that you're proud about. So what's it like to share those personal things and let the world hear them?
It's been so difficult, I think, for us in that, we realize that we've kind of hit a niche of, that a lot of people enjoy the encouragement about marriage. A lot of our local fans, at least. And so I think for us, it's hard not to feel like imposters because from our perspective, we're writing this because we need to remind ourselves and we don't have this figured out. We've been blessed with beautiful families, but man, we've been through some hell. And so to be up on stage in moments where maybe things aren't clicking well with the wife and having to sing a song, it brings up some interesting emotions and it can be exhausting. And we're trying to work through that and figure out like, how do we navigate that? How do we manage it? Cause, we don't want to be inauthentic. We don't want it to paint this picture like, yeah, we got this figured out. And we realize that we can't always control someone's perspective of us. We're on a stage that it's going to paint some sort of picture that we can't control. But we try to be very clear, especially with the live performances of like, this is something that we remind ourselves of. And, this is something that we don't have figured out yet fully. But one of the things that we do draw from, we're all Christian. We all grew up in church. And so we have a relationship with God that we feel like is integral to keeping us sane in our marriage. And so we're grateful for that. It doesn't limit we don't consider ourselves Christian artists just because that's not what we're going after. But that belief system does influence everything we do. And so it's a big part of our lives. And so I think that's the hardest part for us to navigate. We've been doing it long enough that it's, at least for me, I can't speak for them, but it's not so hard to have people know the trash or the vulnerable things. It's more the lack of control we have over how people perceive us and how that might change dynamics, and the fear that they'll get this picture of us that's not true. Because we care deeply about our fans, and we've got a lot of really great, incredible, loyal fans here, especially in Charleston. And we care deeply about that. So we're currently trying to navigate that and see what that looks like. And this might just be a phase. I don't know that the whole rest of Gale Bird's future is just marriage. It might be grandparenting one day. It just depends on what season we're in. Who knows? But I do know that we feel like we've been given an opportunity and we've been given a stage to encourage some people, and we don't want to miss it. So we fight through that.
Well, and I was going to say it comes through on the songs. I know, for y'all, I Still Do is kind of an emotional journey when you guys went into the writing room for that one. Not just on the emotional side, but even as you guys kind of created it. I know you kind of flipped around some things on how you would go about playing things. So I mean, like a song like that, what's it like to share that out there, and have that come to life?
That was a special one. So a lot of times with the writing process, it's, with Roses, we wrote that over the course of a year, and it was finished a year ago. So it's been a 2-year period of us realizing we had what we felt like was a gem and just having to kind of sit on it. And we felt like the timing of its release was perfect. So in hindsight, it was right. But that's tough sometimes. With I Still Do, that was one of those rare instances where it just kind of like popped out so fast. Josh had this situation with Melissa where they had just gotten into it, and he wanted to remind her that even if he had to go back, he would still say I do. That was kind of the gist of it. He wouldn't choose any other option than life with her, even in the middle of the fight. And so as we started going back through, we're just journeying through his wedding day. That's essentially what we're walking through in that moment. His best man, who was his brother, shows up late with the wrong bow tie color on. Everyone's waiting on him. I think the hairdresser had botched Melissa's hair or something. I was there. I was playing piano for the wedding, and I didn't get the full inside scoop. From my perspective, it started a little late, but it was beautiful. But man, when I found out, it's like that was a rough day. But what a beautiful parallel to, like, he would still make that decision in my marriage. I have never once regretted that decision to marry my wife. And I think the bridge is one of my favorite parts. Just the idea that I didn't know the caliber of woman I was looking for. I had a bar set at 5 and was blessed with a 10, and didn't know to ask for anything different. I didn't know that existed. And it wasn't until marriage that you get to know someone deep enough and you go through the fire and you see someone's character that you realize, man, I'm so grateful that God helped me in this situation, because I could have so easily settled and I wouldn't have known any different. So yeah, I Still Do was a really special one. We love that one. And that one is a lot of fun live too, because that one really kicks up at the end. It's a ton of fun. We have a lot of fun on that song.
Well, and you mentioned Roses, obviously, which is the ode to the bourbon I'm drinking tonight. You know, that's a more of a stripped down song, especially in comparison to a I Still Do. So how did Roses come to be? Why did you kind of want to go with that sound to it? And what was it like to let it, live here just recently?
Yeah, that was interesting too. So that was never, that was not going to be on the list of ones that we released. We always loved it, but we've always tried to figure out as we talk with the label, like, obviously we want to make money. That's an important part of this. And as much as we'd love to release every song, we have to be strategic as we're putting out songs. And so, as we're trying to find our sound, one of the things that we've been trying to do with the label is work on what kind of songs as singles are going to get the most traction. Especially as we're kind of being genre bound into country within a lot of the playlisting. It kind of needs to be boat music. It kind of needs to be something, giddy up, something high energy. And so Roses didn't fit that. It's a beautiful melody, beautiful lyrics, beautiful song, but didn't fit that. So it wasn't until recently, when there were a lot of the shootings around the U.S., that there was a lot of turmoil online and a lot of divisiveness, and just, it was a crazy time. And we just, in processing all of that, really felt like, man, I think that this song would kind of speak right now. Like, this feels maybe like someone needs to hear it. And so we had an acoustic demo of the song, and our initial thought was, let's just post up the acoustic demo. And then I have to be a little extra, and I'm like, I can't just do the acoustic demo. Let's add a little bit. And then a little bit becomes a little bit more. So by the end of it, my vision for it was, I want this to feel acoustic. And then by the end of the song, the listener is like, whoa, where all of a sudden am I that I hear, guitars and pianos and bells and a 16-person choir? I don't know how I got there, but I'm here. And then it's acoustic again. I wanted to take that journey, and I thought it matched the song really well. So as we were processing it, we kept the acoustic guitar as the foundation, and then Josh's vocal on top. Wanted to keep it as naked as we could, but so give it some room so we could layer some stuff around it. And then I think my favorite part, if you listen closely, you can hear there's like a garden scene happening. There's a lot of, bugs and outside type sound effects. There's some wind chimes that I like doing Foley. And so I grabbed the wind chimes out front, was tracking those, and all these little things to kind of give you this picture of like you're walking through the garden thinking about this concept. And then there's this drop into the second set of choruses that all of a sudden just starts this emotional pull that just, it felt so necessary in the song with that lyric, we might not be here another day. Why am I holding back the words I long to say? And then we were almost ready to pull the trigger on it, and we were debating on it if it needed BGVs. And so I just said, just give me one day. I'm a big fan of Jacob Collier. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an incredible artist from Great Britain, and he does a lot of really big voice vocal arrangements with, tons of the same track to create this really ethereal but atmospheric sound. And so I was kind of trying to mimic some of that, and I just felt like some of the vocal movements just matched it so well. Sorry, I can talk about it for so long, but at the end of the day, it just ended up becoming this piece that we're just so proud of. And we felt like it kept to the acoustic nature because of the speed at which we had to get it out. But we kind of love it there. So when we did it live, we played it the other night, and we started it acoustic and had to get full band with it. It just live, it made sense. But yeah, that's that's how that came about. We just had to get it out quick.
I love it because, like I said, it's a cool vibe with the kind of that stripped down nature, especially compared to say something like I Still Do, which has kind of a different tone to it. And also the other one I mentioned, Lookie Here, which I think is one of my favorites that y'all have put out. It definitely kind of has that upbeat feeling and really shows off the trio. So what made y'all bring that one to life? Because like you said, you guys are finding showing off your sound as you guys kind of bring it into focus. But that one's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun when we're at the live show. I think one of the things we pride ourselves on is we don't want any song sounding the same, and so I think it's really easy for people, especially locally. We've seen a lot of people they'll play 10 songs and they kind of all sound like the same song, and so we do kind of pride ourselves, at least with the live show, of we want to feature different things in each song. And I've got one song where I'll throw on the baritone guitar, and then we have an organist that'll play with us. Let's let him rip on this one. Well, Lookie Here was kind of our ode to the I guess more traditional country genre, with the the train shuffle behind it, throwing in some more modern stuff with the airplane riser and some other things. But yeah, we did a co-write with a friend up in Nashville, and just loved the concept of this song. Loved the idea of just that word picture of being in outer space, so high on the relationship in a way. And so that one kind of was all built around that train shuffle. That write was over the period of a couple months, and his name is Christian Wood. He's a great friend of ours up in Nashville, and so we finished that song up, and toward the end of the production, Josh was like, "This 3-part harmony is so good. I think we need to start the song with it." And he had thrown, I forget who it was. It was some Eagles song in the text thread where they had started with the 3-part harmony right out of the gates, and so we made it happen. It ended up being one of the best decisions we ever made. That sets the tone for the whole thing. All three of us coming right in at the beginning, and then the big reverse guitar punched, with the full band. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Well, like I said, or like how you said too, this kind of shows off what you guys are. You get a little bit of what you're going to get from y'all. What for y'all, it's one thing to create the songs. Like you said, it's another to play them live and have that feeling of people singing back and being part of the show and being energized by them. So what's your favorite part about being on stage?
Honestly, I relate. You mentioned one of your previous interviews enjoys being the sideman. Honestly, that's a big part of it for me. Of I don't have to pull the whole show. Josh is gonna entertain the crowd. He's so good with speaking on stage and telling the story well. Melissa's gonna have the beauty with her voice. I can kind of just sit back and when the solo comes up, shred for a second, and then kind of from the background, do my conducting. And I just think that that's beautiful. We're really playing to our strengths. And I have situations where if I need to lead a song, I can. I have the ability to, but I like the opportunity not to have to. And if I do, it's an option. So I think we have a unique setup where Josh can read that crowd really well. He can set the tone for that. And then we just have some incredible musicians playing with us. So depending on the venue, we can amp it up or bring it back. But I just get to create and not worry quite as much about the visual aspects of it all.
Well, and you talk about being able to kind of, depending on the venue, depending on the day, kind of the vibe of the show, whether it's say it's an acoustic or a full band. What can folks expect at a Gale Bird live show? And I know you get to do some different things, and how does that help shape the performance experience?
Our goal is always to create the greatest country rock show we could imagine. So we always are trying to create moments within the set. And we're very intentional about that. We've decided we don't get to play as often as some people. It's a little bit more difficult, I think, with original music artists to find venues and to find opportunities. And it takes a lot more work to put that on, to bring musicians in that'll play with us. It's a lot. And so if we get to play only a limited amount of times per year, man, we want to just our fans to walk away with the biggest wow factor possible. And so coming into, like we played last week, we spent about 2 months working on crafting the set list in a way that we felt like would take people on a journey. We want there to be highs and excitement, and we want there to be moments where people catch the lyrics in a way that maybe hits them different. I think one of the greatest compliments that we walked away from the gig the other night was there was a guy that we sang a song called "Keep Trying." We haven't recorded it yet, but the concept is like, I haven't figured out this marriage thing yet, but I'm gonna keep trying. And he said he teared up because I guess something in his life resonated with that. He felt like we were reading his mail, and it hit him. And so for us, like, man, that's the biggest compliment we could ever get. And so I think going into the show, being intentional, being an original music artist maybe seems like a setback, but it's almost can be a strength too if we do it right. If we take that intentionality, craft it well, and then, we know like we have one of the nastiest organ players in town. If we just give him 5 minutes to let him shine, that's going to do something that we couldn't have done just alone. So using every part of the team, many of us are multi-instrumentalists. So having kind of that always surprise factor. One of the fun ones is toward the end of the set when Josh has been playing acoustic the whole time, then all of a sudden out of nowhere pulls out a harmonica, starts wailing on that. Just those little things I think mean a lot to people. And man, I'm so grateful. We have some really great fans that are very supportive. They follow us around, and it's just that's been a lot of fun. So we owe it to them. Like let's change it up. Let's make this special.
No, I love that. And I think that's the beauty of a live show. I mean,
Yeah,
it's one thing to hear the song over and over, and I love to be able to do that, on repeat. But the live shows, like you said, you can show off a little bit more. You can let that organ player have his moment in the spotlight. Always at the beginning, I love to ask, what's your go-to drink, what you're drinking, and as we get to the end, I love to ask this question because it's always interesting to see what song, for whatever reason, live is just so much fun for y'all. So, what's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
I think right now one of my favorites is a song called "Crumble Down." It was probably 4 songs ago that we released, and it's just got this really fun, really twangy guitar riff right from the beginning, and it's just a super fun song, and it's one of the few that I feel like we're the tightest with. We've played that one the most, and so it gives us the most freedom to go off script, and it can create some really special moments. Especially, once the song structure is over and we just keep going. Sometimes we end it with soaring lead solos. And there's been other times we've done it. We just end with a 3-part harmony a cappella. And it's just this kind of like hold your breath, stand still moment of beauty. And I'm not just saying that just 'cause I love our music and I think we've got great singers, but there's something about anyone that creates a moment like that vocally that it's special. And so I love the flexibility and the freedom that song gives us in the middle of a set to really kind of let just what the audience wants dictate where we go.
I love that answer because it does show exactly what you said. You can kind of mix it up based off of what you're feeling, either yourself or the audience, and almost every show is a different show, at least on that song. And I think that, like I said, that's what I love about a live show. And you guys are getting re-going again, so to speak, in the long journey of a music career with Gale Bird. It's been going on for a while, but you're getting it going again. You've been able to do some cool stuff still. So obviously, though, I'm sure there's a few bucket item, list items on there. So what are you guys hoping for next? On this journey.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us would agree that at the end of the day, Gale Bird is not the most important thing in our life. So there is a sense of like we want it to do well, but we're content if this is the biggest stage we get. It's been wonderful, but we're gonna keep pushing. We're competitive to the core, and so we're gonna keep going after it. I think if I had to choose anything, I think we're just looking at next steps. We're not thinking big like Ryman or anything like that just yet. We're just thinking, what could next year look like to get us to the next level? And I think some of the things we're playing around with would be some sort of a extended weekend tour. We've actually been looking at some places up in Lexington. We could make a journey up and back and hit a lot of places up on that track. I think that would be awesome. I love Kentucky country. It's just gorgeous up there. And so I'm always itching to go back. So something like that. I think we're at the stage where we've got a great product. I think we could just use some more reps. So, just continuing to get out there and play in. We'll potentially look at some opportunities for acoustic shows coming up, some special stuff, especially around the holidays, to highlight some stuff there. But I mean, the biggest thing for us is like just kind of see how we can keep expanding our audience and ultimately keep creating, because I think at the core that's what we love, is we love to write this stuff.
Well, and you're writing really good stuff, and like you said, you got some ideas for where you want to go. You just released Roses. You've put out Lookie Here. I Still Do this year as well. So obviously we're at the tail end of 2025. We're on into 2026. What can you tell folks that's coming up, or where they can stay tuned for more information?
Yeah, the best place to go is galebird.com. All GALEBIRD. Or our Instagram account, which is under Gale Bird. We're posting on Instagram all the time. The website's got links to everything we have, streaming options, merch, everything. So anything we have coming up, we're throwing it up on Instagram. So if you don't mind following us, that would be awesome. We'd love to share what we're doing with you. And as we're kind of nailing down some of this stuff for the winter and the spring, we're going to be posting about it, and we're looking forward to sharing it.
I love that. And folks, if you haven't, highly recommend you go give them a listen. Love Lookie Here. I Still Do is a fantastic song in Roses as well. And go down that little rabbit hole. You won't regret it. Gale Bird, Sean, thank you for sharing the journey of the trio and sharing a drink with me, man.
Absolutely. So great to be with you. Thank you.
Cheers.